Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA up-and-comer Jesse Cruz. Jesse, how are you?
Pretty good, sir. Pretty good.
Jesse, you got a fight coming up July 26th at Pandemonium 9. How's training been going for the fight?
Training's been going good. This is probably the best camp I've had since leaving Alaska. I've just been grinding real hard, doing a lot of cardio, and making sure I'm in the gym every day, twice a day if I can be. All my free time I'm running, just doing what I got to do to be ready for this fight. It's a big fight, so.
Are you still training at Team Quest?
No, sir. I'm fighting at Blackline in Carlsbad.
Oh.
I needed some new coaching going on. Somebody who was going to push for me and somebody who was going to dedicate their time a little more than my previous coach was. Nothing against him, but, you know, I just had a coach that wanted to help me out a little more and give me more of their time and focus on me as a fighter and helping my career. And it was a good gym. I checked it out and fell in love with the place. So I got great coaches there and great teammates, people that support me, and they push for me to do my best, and they want to see the best out of me, so they push me real hard.
Who are some of the guys there that are helping you prepare for this fight?
First off, my coach, Brian Whitaker, great jiu-jitsu black belt, and his younger brother, AJ Matthews, who is a Bellator fighter. You got guys like Joey Beltran that are helping me with my fence work, Jason Lambert. It's a brother gym to Alliance in Chula Vista, so I go down there and train with guys like Nick Piedmont, Dominic Cruz. Let's see, you got the Gremlin, what's his name, Danny Martinez. There's a lot of big names, Phil Davis, Brandon Vera, a lot of big names out there that I've been training with. So.
Was part of the reason for possibly making a switch, I know you mentioned the coaching situation, but I remember seeing you spar with a lot of the big guys at Team Quest. There weren't really a lot of small guys for you to work with. Is that a reason for making a switch?
Yeah, that's definitely another reason for the switch. There wasn't enough small bodies for me. Even now, I'm still going with big guys, but I got guys more my size.
Now, with training with the guys that you were training at Team Quest, the bigger guys, does that kind of, give you a disadvantage in the fights from a sense that, the guys that you're fighting against when the fights, really count are a lot quicker than the guys that you're training with? I know a lot of people think that, training with bigger is better, but in your case, was it kind of a disadvantage for you having all those big bodies?
Well, it kind of threw my timing off a little bit because I'm much quicker than most of the guys in that gym, But I learned a lot by taking their brains. But when it came to sparring and things like that, they were a lot slower than guys my size. A little bit, but then I had guys like Federico Lopez and Martin DeVilla. They were up-and-comers. They were really good.
Now, on July 26th, you're going to be fighting Kana Hyatt. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
I respect him. He's got great punching power. He's got a good chin. But, he's not as technical as I am, I don't believe. And I do believe I'm stronger than his last opponent. And I'll be just as fast. So.
Now, you're a guy who likes to entertain the crowd. You like to put on exciting fights. You love to stand up. You love the striking aspect of mixed martial arts. Is that where you feel that you have the advantage in the fight, in the stand-up department?
Well, Connors, he's tough, like I said. He's got real deep in boxing. He throws, really hard, so I know he's going to be having good punching power. But I think I'm technically better than him on the feet, and I'm a lot better on the ground than I was a year ago, so I think I can take it there as well.
Just curious, how did this fight all come together? Because there was a rumor a while back that Kiko Lopez was going to fight the winner of Kana Hyatt and Steve Swanson, but now you're getting this title opportunity. Just curious, how did this fight all come together?
Well, I got a great manager in Alfred Benson with Fight Path Management. He set it up. I know that Kiko was supposed to fight him. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't get that fight, but it ended up being my blessing in the end. So, I'm going to take it and try and do my best and get in there and get that strap. But Kiko's an old teammate of mine. He's a great fighter, great person, and, it would have been nice to see him get a title shot. He deserves it, but I'm not going to, not take it. So that's my thoughts on that. I just got a great manager who pushes for me, and he knows that I'm ready to scrap whenever.
not looking past Kana Hyatt, but should you defeat him, Kiko Lopez is a former teammate of yours. Now that you're training at a different gym, would you be open to that fight if he's the next guy in line?
Well, business is business.
Sure.
He's a great friend of mine, but we sparred every day in the gym, so we pretty much know each other's style. It'd be a great fight for everybody to see, I know that, but he's a good friend of mine. If I had to fight him, yeah, I'll fight him. I'm not going to run or duck anybody. But I would hope we get paid pretty good for it, because I'm sure we both come out pretty beat up.
Jesse, how do you see this fight ending against Kana Hyatt?
I really just want to go in there and impose my will on him. Hopefully I can get him out of there within a couple rounds, but I'm ready for a war. So if it goes 5, it goes 5. I'd like to get in and out of there, as fast as possible, but I see me raising my hand and walking out with that belt. I've done too much work not to, and this is my time.
Now, Jesse, you're originally born in Jersey, but you were raised in Florida. Then from Florida, you moved to Alaska. I'm just curious, what made your family decide to go from, way south to way north? Why did you decide to move from Florida to Alaska?
Growing up, Florida was pretty rough on me. I was getting into a lot of trouble, in and out of, fights, and then going to jail, and just running the streets a lot. I had a lot of, bad influences around me, and I just was ready. I went to jail for a little bit, and I got out of jail, and I was 18 and ready to make a change in my life. And as a man, you gotta make moves and do things. So my brother called me, and he was like, there's a big opportunity, a lot of money, and what he told me in Alaska, and I wasn't making anything in Florida, and I just wanted to change my life and be a better person. So I moved to Alaska with my brother, who was in the military up there, and got back on the right track.
Now, you said that you were in a lot of trouble. Was this a case where, you were, I don't want you to, be offended, but you're a smaller guy, 5'6", you fight at 125 now, so you're a little bit smaller than a lot of these guys. Was that something where you were getting bullied and you were forced into fights and, getting in trouble, or were you just hanging out with the wrong guys?
Both, man. I was hanging out with the wrong people, and on top of being a smaller guy, I had 2 older brothers that I had to deal with growing up, and they weren't the easiest on me. And coming from a broken home as well, it was rough. I was in the streets a lot, not going to school, and really not on the right path to be a good man in my life. So I had a lot of adversity growing up. There was a lot of street things going on, and I was always getting in the fights. People bigger than me think they could mess with me. There was a lot of prejudice, things back in the South, getting called a spick a lot, bigger, things like that. And so I got into fights to the name calling, people just thinking that they were going to push me over. And I wasn't going to have that growing up. I had 2 brothers doing it at home. There's no way I was going to let anybody else do it outside of the house. My brothers would probably kick my butt if they saw me getting beat up anyway. It would be another butt whooping.
How old were you when you moved from Florida to Alaska?
I was 20.
Oh, so it was after high school.
Yeah, I was all the way through high school, and I got up there right at it. I didn't finish school, so I got up there about 6 months after I got out of jail. I actually did some time for fighting when I was 18, and I did 7 months in county. And I was like, man, I got to change something. It's too much. I got to get. And I talked to my brother, and my family was like, this is the best thing for you. You just get out of this town. You're not going to be nothing if you don't. And so I did, and it was the best choice I've ever made in my life.
When you were in high school, you would have boxing matches in your backyard. You would have these boxing matches after school. Jesse, I'm interested. What were some of these boxing matches like?
Well, in high school, we had half days every Wednesday. And so we would all gather around, and at first it just started out, the people meet at the park, and somebody had some gloves one day, and we all, put them on, and ended up being, I was pretty darn good at it. And so I started just taking on fights. Whoever would fight me, we'd go in the backyard, and we'd just throw down. And I started beating up guys bigger than me and older than me, and I was like, man, I'm pretty good at this. So I kept training and got into fighting because of a friend of mine and my brother. A friend of mine named Tito Jones. He's a really good fighter with Arizona Combat, I believe it is. Trained with Jamie Varner and those guys. He helped me out and helped me get into fighting him and my brother because they boxed. And so I started doing that, and then I fell off for a little while, moved to Alaska. I started boxing semi-pro kind of boxing up there. They have a thing called Thursday Night Fights, and they match you up at the weigh-ins. And there was I'd fought guys up to 200 pounds, so I got really good. Made the semifinals there, and then the finals for the states, and just went from there into MMA. Started doing the ground game and trained with Gracie Baja, Ted Stickle up in Alaska, Ricky Shivers, those guys, and won a championship and moved here. Wanted to pursue it for a bigger level.
Mm-hmm. When you decided to switch from boxing to MMA, wasn't it the AFC fights that they threw up there? Wasn't that kind of your introduction to MMA and kind of what pushed you towards MMA, seeing these guys that you thought, hey, I can beat this guy, I might as well give this a shot? Is that how you got into it?
Yeah, it is. I always watched the UFC growing up when it first came out. I remember being in high school and, just watching the fights, and then seeing, I was like, man, they don't even have a weight class for me. So I never was interested in joining until they got the 135 division opened up. And then I started back out the gate as soon as they opened it. I was like one of the first fighters, and made my name there.
Mm-hmm. From what you've been saying, through growing up and when you left Florida and got to Alaska, you've been fighting a very long time. I mean, and now you're a professional fighter. Is really fighting, if you weren't doing fighting, what would you be doing? It seems like fighting, is the perfect fit for you. Could you even imagine life without fighting?
No, I couldn't. I don't know where I'd be without it. So fighting definitely gave me a little jump in advantage in my life, because without it, I'd probably still be doing all the same dumb crap I was doing before. Mm-hmm. So, it's just been a blessing. God works in mysterious ways, and I've always been a feisty person when I was young, and now I'm a man. I've put a lot of the aggression side away due to MMA and become more of a calmer person. It's balanced out my life. So I don't know where I'd be without it. Probably working, 9 to 5 like I already am, but without fighting, and it's just kept me grounded.
Mm-hmm. What's the other job that you work?
I work as a cook right now at the Del Mar racetrack, but I've had several different jobs. But I also train in my gym too, so being involved with fighting is definitely going to be with me for the rest of my life, because I plan on being a trainer or open up my own gym one day. So. Mm-hmm.
When you switched over from boxing to mixed martial arts, did you have any amateur fights, or right out of the gate did you just turn pro?
No, there was no amateur fights for me. I went straight in. I figured, if I'm gonna get punched in the face, I better get paid for it.
Right.
I'm gonna pay the bills if I get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Earlier, you said you moved from Alaska to Southern California to pursue your mixed martial arts career. I'm just curious, why did you decide to settle in Southern California? Why did you decide that was the right place to pursue this career?
Well, my brother that I moved to Alaska with ended up moving to San Diego, and me and my son's mother, we were looking for a change of scenery. I was getting a name for myself, and I figured, while my stock's high, I better get out somewhere out of the state that's going to be good for me to pursue my dreams. And so I came here and ended up dropping off some fight tapes to a couple of different gyms, and I happened to stop by Team Quest, and then they picked me up, full ride sponsorship, and I got to teach classes and get paid for it. So then I went there, and that was it.
I see. Your goal is obviously to fight in the UFC. Right now, the UFC is the only major mixed martial arts promotion that has the flyweight division. Right now, Bellator doesn't have flyweights, and World Series of Fighting doesn't have flyweights. So the goal is to make it to the UFC because they have that weight class. Are you worried at all by seeing how the UFC, they haven't been kind of rapidly moving towards signing flyweights? There's still a lot of guys, there's still a lot of talent out there that isn't under the UFC umbrella, and there's a couple guys that right now aren't in the UFC that are ranked ahead of you. Are you worried at all about how the UFC isn't rapidly moving towards signing these guys, or are you okay with it because it gives you even more time to develop, and then when you get in there, then you can really make a serious run when you've had time to develop?
Yeah, I'm not really too worried about it. I know that I can get, I got some connections with some other promotions that are also going to be opening up 125, like I believe Bellator is as well. And I'm sure they're going to be watching this fight. And I think they're planning on having the tournament too soon. Also, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to keep doing what I got to do to make myself better. The more time is also always better too. If I get more time, it makes me a better a more skilled fighter. It gives me more time to develop into some and fill up some of those gaps in my game. So when it's time for me to be there, I'll be ready. And I'm hoping it'll be real soon.
Mm-hmm. Jesse, I'm just curious, did you try out for the latest season of The Ultimate Fighter? I know it's a bantamweight season, but we've seen plenty of guys go through that show at a higher weight class than the weight class that they normally fight at, and then when the show's over, they drop down to the regular weight class. Just curious, did you try out for that show?
Actually, no, I didn't. I had some family things going on, so I wasn't able to make it. I've had some hard times over the last year with family issues. My brother recently got into a motorcycle accident and paralyzed his arm. Just trying to get my situation figured out with going through the separation with my son's mother. So I've had some things that kind of stopped me from going there. Mm-hmm. But I'll take whatever route I have to get to where I want to be, and hard work is definitely the way to get there. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Jesse, last question. I'm just curious, how did you get your nickname, the Puerto Rican Gamecock? I know how you got the first part of that nickname, the Puerto Rican part, because you are Puerto Rican, but I'm just curious about the second part. How did you get that?
Well, it was funny because for my first fight, I was training at Gracie in Alaska, and with her boxing, my name was Jesse the Pitbull. Because I'm an aggressive person when it comes to being in the ring or in fighting in general. And I was like, well, if I'm doing MMA, I can't have the same nickname as boxing, so I got to change it up. And when I was in Puerto Rico, when I was younger, with my mom on vacation, I remember being at the bus stop, and there was a guy next to us. He had one eye, and he had a bag that was just jumping around, a little potato sack bag, just jumping around and sitting there at the bus stop with my mom. And I'm like, man, what's in that bag? And I don't speak Spanish, so my mom asked him, and he said, oh, I have roosters in here. They're going out, and she was like, and she explained to me that he uses them for fights, and he was going to fight them, and it's legal in Puerto Rico. They actually do it as a sport, fighting roosters and gamecocks. So I just kind of went from there. I was like, looked on it a little bit, studied it up a little bit, and was like, man, that sounds just really catchy, and I knew that I had to have something catchy to get people to follow me. It would definitely help to have a good name, something that nobody's ever heard before. So I just went with it. I asked one of my teammates, I was like, what do you think about this? It's like, hell yeah, go with that. That sounds cool. Mm-hmm. So, and with me ever since. Got it tattooed on my arm, so.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it because, like you said, it's original. There's like 75 guys out there who are the beast, so it's always good to have an original.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other Puerto Rican Gamecocks out there.
Yeah, right. Jesse, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, man, I'd like to thank, first off, the Lifeline and Carl Steff for giving me the opportunity to train under such great guys at their gym. Fight Path Management, Alfred Benson, he's been a great help in my career. He's always pushing for me to get fights, and he's just a great guy. Let's see here. You got Rhino Rush. I got Pacific Choice. I'd like to thank all those guys. Cali Threads, who's been doing my gear for this fight. They're doing really good stuff in the game. Walls Farms, which is a family friend of my family's. He's sponsoring me as a wheat farmer. And if there's anybody I missed, I'm sorry, but that's about all I can think of right now.
Jesse,
also the Draft Restaurant and Pub over in Oceanside also sponsors me. Derek Mason, I'd like to give them a big shout out too.
Jesse, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck July 26th at Pandemonium 9 against Kana Hyatt.
Thank you very much. Hopefully things turn out in my favor. I'm going to be looking to put on a good show for everybody. I think it's going to be on the internet too. So, let's stay tuned and look forward to seeing some fireworks at the 4th of July. But I'll try to make it the best 4th July fireworks that I can late in the month. So.